All right, everyone, this is going to be a long reaction, so if you don't want to watch it, the link is in the description box. But if you want to hear what I got to say and try to break this down a little bit, stick around. Thank you in advance.
It's not so much a case of someone had to do it, rather Tate Petrescu wanted to do it. She willingly signed up for a job you'd think no woman in their right mind would ever agree to do. Publicising and defending self-confessed proud misogynist, accused rapist and human trafficker Andrew Tate and his equally disgraceful brother Tristan. Tate started working for the pair 4 years ago, and by doing so was given an extraordinary insight into their world of depravity. The Tates are currently locked up in a Florida jail, fighting extradition back to the UK. After hearing what Tate Petrescu has to say about their exploits, you might understand why authorities believe prison is the best place for them.
Yes, everyone. Now, I had to dive into this one early because this is like an 18-minute video. I have it on 1.25 times speed, but I did a video yesterday where the people, the supporters, and Andrew Tate, the Tate brothers legal team, was outside of the lockup in Miami, and they were holding a rally, okay? They were showing their support for the Tate brothers and, of course, free Top G. They're fighting extradition back to the country of the United Kingdom, all right? Now, with that being said, this right here is via 60 Minutes Australia, and the title of the video is "Former Close Confidant of Andrew Tate Believes His Arrest is the End of His Influence." Where is it?
Enemy spotted.
Now, the woman you see here, and the woman that they're going to be interviewing is the personal assistant or former personal assistant of the Tate brothers, okay? So keep that in mind when you see what's going on, what she's going to explain, and of course, how the interviewer is going to frame how she chose and why she chose to undertake this job. And of course, the framing of who he believes and the, again, public enemy number one, that is Andrew and Tristan Tate. So we're going to get into all of this reaction. And before I do, if you haven't done so already, if you like or hate the Tate brothers, let me know by hitting that like button. And if you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Again, if you're used to 60 Minutes Australia, we're going to get into the reaction right now. Hold on to your seat.
No one else can brag about and encourage abuse quite like Andrew Tate.
Slap, grab, choke, shut up bitch, sex.
The manosphere pinup boy loves to tell the world how he treats and how little he thinks of women.
Now before you call me a misogynist, by the way, this is all female doing.
So, looking at this photograph, you might assume.
Now, I got to say, y'all, I mean, it's just me. You don't have to agree, you know. You don't have to agree. But I don't know her nationality. I assume she might be from the UK herself. But just judging off of, you know, first-hand looks, I would definitely take her behind the woodshed myself. I'm pretty sure these guys did too at least once, I think.
What it depicts. But guess again, because the woman sitting between Andrew and his brother Tristan isn't a victim, she was an enabler.
I don't have a single bad word to say about them and their behavior towards me.
I find that interesting. So they have this public persona of denigrating women, but what, they treat you well because they need you to clean up their mess?
I was being paid to clean up their mess. They didn't have to be nice. Whether I was being loverboyed, I don't know.
Tate Petrescu is a baffling contradiction. For 3.5 years, she had a job most women would consider a nightmare. Tate was Andrew and Tristan Tate's publicist.
Because women can't fucking drive. I told you. I fucking told you.
Okay, my apologies. She was not a personal assistant. She was their publicist, which I don't know if that's the same thing or not. I don't know what the difference in the roles are. Y'all can tell me down in the comment section.
I don't think he's done anything wrong.
Really?
Yes. I don't think he realizes how bad the stuff he says truly is.
It's not just what he says, it's what he does.
Look at the camera. Why are you getting hit? Why are you getting beaten? Listen, you, do as I say.
For more than a decade, Andrew Tate has faced allegations of abuse and rape, as well as trafficking women into a pornographic webcam empire, first in the UK, then in Romania. But he's repeatedly avoided prosecution, thanks to supporters like Tate Petrescu. Tonight, though, she turns her back on him for good and helps solve the mystery of how the vocally violent Tate allegedly kept getting away with it. You were in the Tate's corner for years. You defended them. Why have you had a change of heart?
There came a moment where enough was enough, where I hit my limit. There's no smoke without fire, is there?
Her job wasn't only unenviable, it should have been impossible. The Tates recruited Matea in 2022 as they were under criminal investigation by both British and Romanian police. Her task was to somehow keep up the Tate's image.
Andrew decided he wanted to be an A-lister. He wanted to get into A-list event. As I was making the calls and trying to do that, getting most doors slammed in my face, he tweeted, "I miss human trafficking. I miss the adrenaline." And that's when I was like, what am I doing here?
Did he? If he tweeted that, then he kind of, just let the cat out of the bag. I mean, he just told on himself basically. And to be fair, this is a hard job for someone like her. For one, people are going to judge her because she's a female, and knowing the Tate brothers' background and how they're perceived to the world, people are like, why would you take this? But I'm pretty sure, in my estimation, she was paid handsomely for this job. At the time, maybe she needed the money, and people wouldn't have really paid attention at the time, but now, of course, it's a big thing, or even bigger than it was before. But let's be clear. She got paid for what she did, and they probably treated her well because she wasn't one of the women that they were, trying to traffic or whatever they were doing to these other women that was for fun. She was getting paid to do this stuff. So, of course, in my estimation, she would be treated differently because she wasn't, a flunky or a groupie. She was an employee.
What Matea discovered is a big reason for Tate's brash confidence.
I don't give a shit about having sex with beautiful women. I fuck them so they listen to me, so I can get what I actually want. To means to an end.
She says his confounding popularity with young men around the world was also granting Tate extraordinary political influence.
And I'm very close to the Trump family. I know them well, and I spoke to Barron after the incident.
Andrew Tate has long been an outspoken supporter of US President Donald Trump. So, when he and his brother had a 2-year travel ban in Romania lifted last year so they could leave the country during a stalled criminal investigation, many suspected the Trump administration had something to do with it.
What I can say is that I have seen evidence that one of Trump's special envoys was in communication with the Tates on getting the restrictions lifted.
Now, I remember last year when this was a big thing, they were coming, their Romanian, house arrest, whatever, got lifted. And one of the first things they wanted to do was come to America. They flew into Florida. And of course, Ron DeSantis was very much against this, but this is where they chose to fly into. So they didn't stay in there long. They went there. They moved around the United States of America. I think Andrew caught, his lawsuit in, I think, Las Vegas or somewhere on the West Coast. And a lot of people are wondering, how could the administration let these guys in knowing what they're being accused of and all these kind of things? So it's now confirmed via this woman, their publicist, that the administration, that is Donald Trump's administration, let them into the country.
You share with me the evidence that you've seen that indicates that there was communication between US officials, Romanian politicians, and the Tates and their team?
I believe that for my own benefit and my own protection, I would like to keep it to that.
Oh, by the way, just like the man that passed away in prison that was accused of doing a bunch of heinous things to people that aren't of legal age and apparently had ties to all different kinds of politicians and people like that in high places. He also had a assistant, if you will, that also happened to be his girlfriend. I believe this female, I believe she went by, what was her name? Somebody, I think Maxwell. This one right here knows where all the bodies are buried. Okay. This woman knows where all the bodies are buried, where all the paperwork is, where all the trails end. She knows.
We're to the lines of a third party saying, I have spoken to that person and we have a green light.
With that in mind, you'd almost forgive the Tate brothers for thinking the US would be the last place where they'd end up in handcuffs. But when they flew into Miami last month, that's exactly what happened.
First thing I felt was sorry for him because I saw it on his face, that he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that it's happening.
Andrew and Tristan are now locked up in the US, awaiting extradition to the UK.
And of course they wouldn't believe because they came to the country before. So they felt like they were already covered, right? So this pretty much blindsided them. I'm sure it did because, again, they went to Florida, last year or year before last? They were letting the country before, and they were able to, again, roam free and then go back to Romania. So when they came this time, they thought it was going to be much of the same, right? They didn't expect to get locked up. I think this was like their second day in country. There was in, I'm pretty sure Miami to see some kind of fight or something like that. And boom, the U.S. Marshals are right on their edge. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't expect this.
And it's about time, if you ask lawyer Matthew Jury.
I have my very strong view, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Matthew represents 4 of the women who first went to British police more than 10 years ago accusing Andrew Tate of rape. The way he sees it, British police should have acted long before Tate achieved his infamy.
They utterly failed our clients.
Well, can you take me through that? What did they get wrong?
What didn't they get wrong? I mean, let's start with the time that it took to conduct the investigation. We're talking about close to 4 years. It seems to have just been put on a shelf and forgotten about until Tate appeared on Big Brother here in the UK.
Due to events in the outside world, Andrew has had to leave the Big Brother house.
And there was a scandal and an outrage over a video that was released of him allegedly beating a woman with a belt. And as a consequence of that, that seemed to have reinvigorated the police's interest.
That was in...
And I remember that video. That video surfaced, I think, a few weeks ago on X, and everybody was, they was like, oh, that's fake. Oh, that's AI. No, that's not real. Well, apparently that video is real.
Enemy spotted.
He's 16. Soon after, the Tates fled to a seemingly more lenient Romania, leaving Matthew's clients to eventually resort to a civil lawsuit.
They said 15 years ago I did something I wasn't supposed to do and I'm a criminal. But they won't tell me who against. Nobody buys this shit.
You sit here in front of me confident that that proof exists, that you have the evidence?
Based on my opinion and belief, yes. There is an alleged MO that goes across all of those complaints, that they were strangled to the point of unconsciousness during sex, resulting in the blood vessels in their eyes bursting. So there is this pattern of throttling until the point of unconsciousness.
We almost get desensitized to linking the words rape and assault with the Tates. How important do you think it is for people to realise the details of their...
I don't think people are desensitized to it. I mean, they've pretty much been attached to this for the last, 3-4 years? It's been alleged for a long time. And now, of course, they got a case that's ramping up rapidly in the UK, so much so they've been detained in America to be sent back. So I don't think nobody's desensitized to it. I think there were people just waiting for the last shoe to drop, if you will.
Crimes.
I think the problem is that the allegations against them become trivialised by the Tates and their supporters. And because they have such a huge platform, people start to think it's a joke.
Tate's former publicist, Tate Petrescu, knows she's partly responsible for that. Not that she's looking for forgiveness. Andrew and Tristan Tate have been accused of rape, human trafficking, underage pornography, heinous, vile acts. How do you sit here now and reflect on that, since you were part of their inner circle, trying to help them curate their image?
I was trying to do crisis management. I was trying to minimize the damage. This is not a redemption arc. I haven't had a sudden attack of conscience or a sudden attack of morality. I knew who I was working with.
Well, I'm glad she knows that. Where's my sound effect? I need a good one. At least she knows that this is not redemption. She knows what she's doing. She's, I guess, trying to make amends now. But at the time, she wasn't a victim. She got paid for her services, for whatever she provided to the Tate brothers, okay? And she did her job. And then for whatever reason, she quit or resigned and she left, right? So she's not a victim, all right? For everybody's watching this, this woman is not a victim. She got paid. She took the job knowing what it was going to entail, knowing she was going to, the scrutiny she was going to face, and she did it, okay? Now, in my opinion, if there was a man doing this, he would be in the same boat as the Tate brothers right now, because the woman, I believe in this, and this is not me, being on no man and woman, blah, blah, but we had to be honest about this, okay? She is going to get a level, she's going to get a certain level of, she's going to get a certain pass, if you will, or a certain level of sympathy, or, whatever word you want to call it. I can't find the right word, but she's not going to face the same amount of smoke. She's going to face some, because if they go to court, she's going to be one of the people that's going to have to testify against them in my estimation, and she's either going to get some kind of freaking immunity or something because she'll be implicated in the same crimes with them because you help cover things up, you help facilitate things, and so on and so forth. But she will not face the same amount of smoke that a man in her same position working with the Tate brothers will get.
Sadly, supporters like Matea, seeing the light to some degree, could be too little, too late. Coming up, the frightening global consequences of Andrew Tate's rise.
I've had students write personal essays on their hero, Andrew Tate. Now, unfortunately, it's become the norm. You hear his name quite a lot.
Now, of course, they're going to go into, I guess, the negative effects of the Tate brothers' influence on the UK and against young boys and things like that, which I have my opinion about that separate from what the Tate brothers have done as individuals in their organization or whatever, allegedly. But we're going to hear this.
Matea Petrescu is a proud, independent woman. It makes what she's done, and who she supported, all the more baffling.
I don't feel that I have defended them. I feel that I've acted like an attorney. I think everybody has the right to a publicist, an attorney, a doctor. So this is kind of how I positioned myself.
Still, it was a peculiar gig for a woman.
The investment is coming.
Four self-styled misogynists, Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan, were arrested in Miami last month for extradition to the UK on more than 50 charges of rape, human trafficking and child pornography. Matea was their publicist, and she went above and beyond.
The Tates threatened to disrupt this press conference. Yes.
Oh, did we?
And evidently...
How did they threaten? Do you have evidence of that?
This was her in 2023, ambushing a press conference for lawyers representing the women accusing Tate.
Have you ever been raped? Because if you haven't, I don't think you can truly understand.
Have you? Have you been raped?
Matea knows it won't have won her many fans among women around the world, but she's got her reasons. What inspired you to actually want to work for them?
When somebody knocks at your door and asks you if you want to be the publicist for the highest profile case at the moment, you don't say no, not where I'm coming from.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay? Thank you. And we ought to be fair about this too, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this, okay? The lawyer that took the OJ case, the lawyer that took the case for, any high profile deleter, okay? The guy that that's going to take the case for the Tate brothers, McBride, the guy that took the case for Donald Trump, so on and so forth. This is a chance for these individuals to make a name for themselves, whether positive or negative, because in today's society, popularity and clout is still clout. You see what I mean? So she can parlay this into another career for somebody else because you worked for these two guys, which is probably the hardest, most strenuous job to work for, to defend two people like this that have this much negative press and view in the world. And you were able to go through that. You know what I mean? That takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of fortitude, a lot of courage. People are going to see that because she can translate this job working for the Tate brothers into something much higher. And that's the whole point. Just like lawyers, they take a profile case. Look at freaking Johnny Cochran when he won the case against OJ. OJ was the most hated man in America for what he allegedly did. Johnny Cochran's career skyrocketed after he won that case. Huh? Look at the guy that took the case for Diddy. Even though he lost, he still had the courage to take the case, right? Look at the guy that is representing Chet the Builder. He's going to be able to catapult the popularity he got from representing him. That's how it works, ladies and gentlemen.
So no regrets at all?
No, I don't regret what I've done.
Jane?
Nor should she regret it too, by the way. Just to be clear, she should not regret it. She got paid for it. Somebody had to do it, right? If it wasn't going to be her, it was going to be somebody else, right? She got paid for it. She was an employee.
Kim sees things very differently. They've never met, but there's no doubt Jane's a victim herself of the man whose ideas Matea helped promote.
I actually first heard about Andrew Tate in the classroom, ironically enough.
Jane's a teacher on the Sunshine Coast and the type of person you'd expect to be a great role model. She's a hard worker and an accomplished athlete. In the classroom, though, she's constantly come off second best to a man whose name she wishes she never learned, because Tate's influence has corrupted her male students.
Fuck you.
What behaviour have you been subjected to purely because you're a female teacher?
Unfortunately, I've had a student watching pornography in the classroom before. I had a student follow me to my car once. I've had, actually on more than one occasion, a male student tell me that he's masturbated to me and other female teachers and female students, and it's not stuff I want to know.
You're kidding. They actually tell you that they've done that?
Yep, and they're not embarrassed about it.
How do you...
Now, Enemy spotted. Wow.
Enemy spotted.
Now, what I will say is that Andrew Tate has been I think he's been a positive influence to some men and to others extremely toxic. And when it comes to young men, I think society is to blame for the reason why Andrew Tate is so popular amongst young men, because we as society is not giving these young men a proper role model. Okay, and make no mistake, while women can help us, motivate us to be better people, I don't believe that they are role models for men. We need a man to say, okay, this right here is a healthy image of masculinity, okay, and not just, okay, being a yes man to women, but, you know, standing on a particular set of morals that are right and just, okay, treating everyone fairly with respect and dignity, standing for something righteous, you know what I mean, being successful in the right ways, things like that. No, the examples that these young men have gotten have been watered down. They have been weak, okay, things like that. And because of that, guess what? They're going to go to the most most extreme image, right? Because look at Andrew Tate. For what he does that is in a negative light, what does he exude? What does he represent? He represents success. He represents a fit man that's strong, that's muscular. He represents a man that isn't afraid to say what he thinks. He's not a man that's afraid to go for what he wants. Okay? Again, successful. He's good with women. Women respect him, or at least willing to do what he wants. Now, we now found out that he was, using coercion and other things to do that. But on the outside, it looks like women love him. Women will fall for him immediately, right? That's what these young men want in their lives. And because there's no man to stand in the gap to say, okay, this is how you do it the right way. Here's some pitfalls, but this is how you navigate it properly. Guess what? Guess what role model we have right now? Andrew Tate.
Enemy spotted.
React to that.
I mean, as well as you can, I think, just to, try and make sure that they, see the error of their ways, but I just don't know if it's hitting home.
There's just no denying Andrew Tate's confounding popularity.
The abusing women shit's all a lie. Abusing Bugatti, 100% guilty. Put me in jail.
Dr. Sarah Meager from the University of Melbourne is another woman who's seen how promoting the Tate's misogynistic views and flashy lifestyles has warped the minds of young Australians.
Look at my diamond watch, costs $1.4 million.
She's surveyed more than 3,000 parents, teachers and students as young as 13 about the connection between misogyny and radicalisation, and her results are jaw-dropping. A third say rape accusations are just there to get back at men. Another third that equal opportunity's gone too far. A quarter that feminism should be restricted with violence if necessary. That's unbelievable.
For me, the most worrying ones are probably the consent attitudes, that 25 to 30% of teenagers believe that the marriage contract entitles a husband to sex, regardless of whether the wife consents. How they can...
Now, there is a such thing called, marriage, GRAP, right? So we can't deny that, all right? No means no, no matter what type of relationship you're in, right? That cannot be understated. But a lot of these young men, the question they're asking is, okay, well, what is required of men and what is required of women in marriage? That is a honest question, I believe. Because if I'm required to do X, Y, Z, is she required to reciprocate what I'm doing, right? So if I'm protecting, providing, giving structure and proper leadership and things like that, then what is she responsible to give me, right? Also, if this marriage is, what is the word used? Is what's the word I'm looking for a only man and woman, right? If you want this type of relationship where it's just me and you, then I'm beholden to you to get, gratification of, that kind of nature. And if you don't want to give it to me, but you're also not expecting me to walk outside of my marriage, then what am I supposed to do, right? So I think that's the question that's being asked. But again, it's being dealt with in a toxic way. Like these men saying, well, you should give it to me no matter what. That is not right.
Developing these attitudes that it doesn't hold up for women in relationships anymore is pretty shocking.
Dr. Meager, will you take an oath?
Dr. Meager's work is being taken very...
Oh, by the way, there's certain things that aren't going anywhere. Mainly feminists, they're not going anywhere. So these men need to know how to navigate this properly. If you don't like it, then you need to have you need to be looking for a certain type of relationship where things are more open. Because if not, then it is what it is, right? So again, these men aren't being taught how to navigate these things properly. They're being taught an extreme version of it by Andrew Tate.
Seriously. Earlier this month, she gave evidence at the Royal Commission into anti-Semitism. She believes rising misogynistic attitudes are becoming a precursor to more violent extremism, like the Link Cafe terrorist, who had a long history of domestic violence, and the Christchurch shooter, who wrote about the need to control women's fertility to improve birth rates.
What seems to be shared amongst different types of extremist groups are certain attitudes about a natural gender order and the need to, if by violence necessary, re-establish this natural gender order.
It's no surprise what Dr. Meager blames: the rise of social media and the online fame the likes of Andrew and Tristan Tate enjoy. What responsibility sits on their shoulders for causing the attitudes you're seeing in young Australian boys?
About a third of teachers named Andrew Tate in their responses when asked about extremist attitudes in the school.
When I found out I was having a girl, amazing feeling followed by a bit of panic.
Put simply, teacher and new mum Jane Larkin reckons we'd all be better off if Andrew Tate never achieved his infamy to begin with. I obviously don't have a hugely high opinion of him. I'm sure you don't either. So why are these young boys so enamoured by him?
I think a lot of people, and that's men and women, boys and girls, are lost in society right now. And unfortunately, the ease at which they can access social media is showing them the wrong sort of role models.
I don't think he created this community and this trend on purpose. I think it was, a combination of instinct, whim, impulse, and a lot of luck. He's a very lucky guy.
Well, Andrew Tate came through during the Project 19 time. So his rise came at a very, convenient moment, okay? Very pivotal time in the world, in the United States history. So that's kind of how that went. Again, all the things kind of aligned at the same time for his popularity to kind of go through the roof, like rather quickly, actually. But it actually stalled out at a particular point too. But by then, he's been solidified as a household name in the manosphere.
It's all cause for reflection for Tate's former publicist, Matea Petrescu. Her choice to leave his side, though, seems to be less of a moral epiphany and more a professional frustration as Tate simply stopped listening to her advice. Matea says she even warned him not to fly to the US before he was arrested.
I told them the first time around, don't go to Florida. That was part of my frustration. Andrew doesn't talk politics with women. That's what his lawyer's response was.
Now, if she told this man, these brothers, not to go to America, and he did it anyway, then Andrew, you deserve what you got. I'm pretty sure because she was already connected with people in the government and everything, she helped you get to America the first time. So if she said, hey, man, I don't think this is a good idea right now, and you didn't listen, and you went on your own, then, well, now we're here.
He still went because he believes that he's invincible and because he believes he's done nothing wrong.
Matea finds herself in a curious position. She probably knows more about Tate's rise and influence than anyone else. So much so, she's writing a book about it, which has a startling conclusion. Time is running out on this idol of misogyny's reign.
That's why my book is called Unmanageable, because he's unmanageable. And he has an ego that broke his entire machine.
Is it all over for Andrew Tate? Is this the end of him?
Yes, this is the end of it. I have no doubt about that.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, as I said in previous videos here recently, if the United Kingdom government is able to persuade the United States to let them take these brothers back to the United Kingdom, it is a mother wrap. Where's my sound effect? Where is it? It's over for them. If they get sent back to the UK, you will not see the Tate brothers ever again. They're going to go to jail for a very long time. You won't see them till they're old and decrepit, if at all, right? That's just me. With that being said, thank you for taking another episode of Armchair Anchorman. I'm just a normie here in the computer chair to give you the latest and greatest in front of this nice webcam. Let me know what you think about all of this. Okay, this 10 minutes of the Publicist and the other 15 minutes of, more, Tate Brothers Evil campaign. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and that notification bell. We're out of the door. And Tate Brothers, if you're listening, and to the Publicist as well. Reality checks are free. See you next time.